Hey everyone, Chris here. I am doing the thing that I have not wanted to do for quite some time. I think I've been putting it off because it's such a jumbled mess, but I have done my best to put it together in a way that hopefully makes sense. So, this is your review for the Organization Change Plan, Part 2, Imagine Presentation and Reflection Paper. Um, yeah, let's dive in. Mhm. I'm going to share my screen. Cool. So, am in student view right here. So if you go to your modules, the assignment is due May 4th. So it's in week 14. I went ahead and popped week 14 a little bit early, like available to you. I have yet to review the materials for that week, but I will do that. I'm recording this on Saturday, April 18th at around 8 o'clock my time in the evening, so it is about 6 o'clock your time. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in, and hopefully this is not too like frustrating or confusing or embarrassing. Um, this is where you're going to turn the assignment in. Uh, I had to keep everything the same for this assignment, for where you turn in, but I've created a separate page that is like my interpretation of it, and I kind of had to use that because it's the only way it makes sense to me. So bear with me here. Oh, cool. So, uh, part two has two parts, which oh gosh, I have so many notes. Okay. So, there is the presentation, which y'all should know about. It's in it's the Imagine Framework Change Plan presentation. So, the first part that y'all did a while back, where you did the organization change plan proposal, this is you uh, kind of like pretending you did it or are implementing it. And you are going to take that change plan idea, that proposal, and work it through the Imagine framework that we talked about earlier in class. Don't worry, it's in here. I dropped it in if you have further questions or need a review on that. Okay? Um, both parts. So the first part is the presentation. The second part is the reflection paper. Both parts are due May 4th. Okay? So, the Imagine Framework presentation is worth 70 points, and the reflection paper is worth 20 points. Um, this is just the purpose. Uh, so, just again, this was the overview that was given, but also I went ahead and dropped in a whole bunch of stuff for you to make sure it makes sense. Um, do, do, do. So, the submission type, you can either like record yourself doing the presentation um through, oh my goodness, like Zoom, Uja, um pretty much like Google Meet, I think, will allow you to record as well. You want to record your presentation, you could also, like I think I just mentioned, you can do it through PowerPoint, like as you advance to each slide. You are also going to turn in the PowerPoint separately from the slide, or like the slides separate from the presentation when you input it. I hope that makes sense. If not, let me know. Um, so again, this is me trying to mash together like a few different places all into one. Um, let's see here. So, presentation. Imagine framework. You have a clear, feasible organizational or systems level change initiative. So this was some of the feedback I gave you on your change plan proposals, like whether it was too big or too like narrow or not clear. Um, it needs to be actionable. So if that's one of the things that I had mentioned to you, make sure to hone that idea itself. The presentation should be um, inclusive, like should include like a brief introduction and a summary, just, to acquaint us with your organization and your idea again. The audience here should be imagined as an agency or as or as your agency or the organizational leadership that you would be presenting to. The lead faculty's TA, Kai, actually recorded an example of this presentation. It's 8 minutes and 45 seconds, and they go through really well, so I highly recommend you watch it. The presentation requirements, 7 to 9 slides, addressing all 7 imagined components. The recorded presentations should be around 8 to 9 minutes. Um, I do really want you to try to hit that mark. If it's over like between 10 to 12 minutes, I might have you redo it just because I'm also planning on having everybody like watch and just at least, kind of comment on each other's like presentations and stuff. So, slides should be clear, readable, accurate, and thoughtfully designed. So, if you're picking, one of the pre put together slide packages, from Microsoft PowerPoint or what have you, but make sure that you don't want like big chunks of texts, like no paragraphs. Try to break things up in bullet points. Um, Definitely look at Kai's example. I mean, y'all have seen my uh, PowerPoints. I try to keep them informational, like engaging, but like, I try to put a little personality in it, but it's still professional looking. Make sure you link your resources if you cite anything specific in the presentation. Um, yeah, you just want to make sure, no typos, those kinds of things. Um, Slides and recordings must be submitted to Canvas, so please do that. Um, I went back and I corrected the Imagine Framework PowerPoint slides, so you can take a look at those. Um, they should be all up to date and everything. I don't know why it's probably not letting me load because I'm in student. Anyway, but here's also the breakdown here. So you've got identify, mobilize, assess, generate, and implement, nurture, and evaluate. So make sure that you address each of these points under each thing. Um, I'm basically going to be doing like, since imagine is a 7 letter word, basically, 10 points uh, per letter, per slide, right? And then just, based on content, the presentation stuff, I might knock off a few points here or there. Um, which here I can put the rubric. So what I tend to do and what I've learned from teaching these and grading these past kinds of papers and stuff is what I do is I try to take the written out version and I'll plop it into like a kind of chart like this. So, essentially I'll just check off as I go, um, as I'm listening and watching the presentations. So just checking off to make sure. Um, if you're not able to touch on one of these things, like please mention it in your presentation. Let me know why. Let us know why. Or what you did to attempt to retrieve or attain that information. Um, but yeah, just go by those points. It doesn't have to be like super in depth. Again, remember you've got like 8 to 9 minutes. Um, so these are the 7 letters, 7 or 10 points each for 70 total. The things that I pulled out for the content requirements. So again, we just went over this: feasible, clear, organizational, or systems level change initiative. That was basically the change plan proposal, right? Uh, Include a brief introduction and summary. The audience should be imagined as an agency, as your agency or organizational leadership. Please speak at an audible volume, enunciate words clearly, present a well-organized flow of material. I know this kind of presentation is a little like rigid and not super fun in that way. I do encourage you to just use the formula Um, this is one of those classes where you very much can follow the structure, and it's actually kind of better if you do, because then you don't end up creating more work for yourself. It's not going to make sense necessarily, but like it's just what they're asking for. And then the presentation requirements, again, 7 to 9 slides addressing all 7 imagined components, like the letters there. Uh, the recorded presentations should be 8 to 9 minutes. Time should be used efficiently, holding to the allotted time frame. Again, if it's like over probably like 12 minutes, I'm probably going to have you redo it. If you absolutely can't, just let me know. We can talk about that. Slides should be clear, readable, accurate, and thoughtfully designed. Again, we went over that. Slides and the recordings must be submitted to Canvas. So if you're not recording in PowerPoint, that you would obviously turn in all together because it advances itself and all of that. But if you're doing like Zoom or recording and then posting to YouTube, put the link in there separate from the slides, just so I have the slides with me. If you do reference any material, please include a slide at the end that includes your references. Okay. You shouldn't need to for these though, theoretically. Your reflection paper. So this is part 2, right? Let's go back to the reflection paper. So this is 20 points, 2 pages, and I don't think y'all are going to be able to do this in less than 2 pages or less. So I'm gonna say like maybe 2 to 3, 3 to 4, if you can keep it. Like try to be concise, if you can, but you're gonna be answering these questions here. So how did you incorporate diverse stakeholder voices, particularly those from historically underrepresented communities? Again, this is like you didn't necessarily talk to them, but this is your research or what you considered. Um, what ethical considerations emerged as you balanced organizational priorities with equity-centered practice? How did you navigate conflict or disagreement, if applicable? Which, again, this is kind of convoluted because it's, an imagined scenario. Theoretically, you talked to a key leader from your organization about, kind of what your thought process was, what your change idea was, and is, I guess. Uh, and they might have voiced some concerns or things that you would need to work around or consider, um, things that might end up being harder, or the kinds of pushback you might get, or oh, what was that other word? Resistance. And so um it's not that you necessarily like navigated the conflict or the disagreement, it's that you like how would you approach that um kind of conflict or disagreements. So like when I was in sales, we were taught that like you try to push something like 2 or 3 times. You approach it in different ways. Like I used to work in banking, and they would record our calls, and you literally had to attempt to sell somebody something like 3 times, or else you got marked down on the call. And you had to try different tactics each time. So this is kind of that. It's like you're anticipating what the potential barriers would be, or things that might be difficult, financials, time, commitment, whether or not the change idea could last a good chunk of time or not, whether it's feasible to last beyond your time at the organization, um, that kind of stuff. uh, Reflect on your position, power, and context in this process, and then you can answer the 2 following questions in that. Did your role or authority shape access or constraints? How did your identities and experiences inform your approach? Share overall reflections on the process and what this experience contributed to your professional growth. I did create a template for this paper just to make my life easier. So if you would not mind using this, that would be super, super helpful. Just for my own sanity again. Uh, just, yeah, if you wouldn't mind using it, great. don't forget to, when you save it to your computer and then, type your stuff in, save it as your last name with an underscore or just last name, first name, and then, whatever, like a reflection paper, assignment two, change plan proposal, imagine framework thing, whatever you want to title it, as long as it's got your last name and first name, and then something to indicate that it is the reflection paper for this assignment. Okay. Uh, so these are the rubrics that came within the thing, and I didn't redo those here because it's confusing. That's what this document is, which I'll drop in for y'all. But so again, how I'm planning on grading these is, did you incorporate diverse stakeholder voices, particularly those from historically underrepresented communities? Um, Part of what the reflection paper is supposed to address is that you're able to do a bit of analysis of the participatory stakeholders, including uh, their like diversity of perspectives. This I copied and pasted these things again. If you go to the other version of the assignment, we are actually going to turn it in. It's kind of a hot mess. What ethical considerations, again, these are the questions we just went over, but this is kind of, I'm looking for your capacity to critique justice and equity-centered issues impacting individuals and groups through answering this question. Um, I do hope you touch on like conflict or disagreement. Again, try to anticipate one barrier or one argument or at least a couple to that you had to overcome, or would have to overcome if you were to implement this. Um, Reflecting on your position, power, and context in the process, like I want you to be able to clearly describe some ethical considerations and social work values that were at play. Um, yeah, and I'm excited to hear what y'all learned, right? Like, um, I'm gonna do, let's see here, 4 points each, I think, as long as each of these are met, because 4 times 5 is 20. And then content and presentation requirements, I'm not, or not presentation, but paper, paper requirements. This is more about making sure that you like that it meets the professional requirements of this type of paper, if that makes sense. So the depth of the personal reflection and learning, your voice and your experience. I want it to sound like authentically you, no AI, no nothing, right? Um, Overall feasibility and specificity of the plan and clarity, organization and quality of submission. So again, it's just got to be doable. Like not that you actually did it or are doing it, but that it has to be potentially doable. I know some of the feedback I gave y'all was that it was like too big, too big. There's no way that one person in an organization in our position, could implement this with the resources available. And then 2 to 4 pages in length in total. I'm not going to knock off points if it's like a bit more than that, a bit less than that. But like, again, as long as you cover everything else, if it's like 10 pages and everybody's is 10 pages, then we know it's too much. Then it's an assignment problem. But like, um, yeah, I'm hoping you can try to be as succinct as possible in these so I can get you that feedback ASAP. Um, and then let's see here, something else I wanted to address while we are also here. Let's see here. Do, do, do. So, the competency evaluation in Canvas. So, I know that y'all had heard about this before, and I think I talked about this in an earlier lecture. Um, for every class that you take that is like a foundational class, we have to rate you on a scale from 0 to 5 on your competency in the each class is assigned like anywhere from 1 to I think 3 or 4 of these competencies per final assignment essentially is where they're looking. So for this course, and again I'll drop this in, but I had to like go in and make it make sense again. You are going to be graded on two two competencies. So you'll probably recognize these. These are the same competencies that you encounter in your internship. So you know how you have to go through that whole form and it's a big pain in the ass. Um, we have to grade you as professors or rate you as professors on where you're at on this continuum. So, like last semester when I taught class, I had a couple of students get a 0 on these things. That means that, you know, there was definitely some, uh, well, more improvement that was needed. One and two. I can't remember if I gave out any threes, but like three is the maximum that we can get or give out in the program. And that's just because like even me as somebody who's post graduation now for 4 years, uh, I would get probably maybe a one or two in some of these competencies just because we flex some muscles more than others, right? Um, anyway, by the time you're at graduation, we want all these to be as close to a three as possible because that's kind of where we expect most people to be. Um, there's always more room to learn, um, you know, all that fun stuff. So I just wanted to give y'all a heads up that I will probably just, you know, kind of circle one of these or let you know, um, and give you some comments on that if you want. But this is also part of the last assignment. So really you're turning in two things and I'm grading three things to be able to give you uh the full thing here. So that is the very long and drawn out and almost frustratingly long um rendition of my um yeah, trying to make this make sense. Um This is where you are going to turn in the assignment. Again, it's due by May 4th. This is one of those ones that I'm going to ask you to be a bit more like kind of on time and with it if you can. Do try to practice it and time yourself once or twice ahead of time before you record so that you know that you're not going like too much overtime. Or if you find that you are consistently going overtime, you can let me know and just give me an idea of what that range looks like if it's over that 12-minute mark. Um, but yeah, again, two separate submissions. Yeah. Um, she uses a bit different language in here, but I tried to streamline it by not doing the part two, assignment two, part two. Like it has two parts. Like, no. And I didn't like this like superior, effective, adequate, marginal, or inadequate. So that's why it's also like very convoluted. Like, again, like this doesn't give you anything to go off of. So, anywho, yeah. Um, hopefully this makes sense to you. Oh, this does have this in it. Okay, good, 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 good. Okay, so this is there. These are the two that I'll be rating you on. Um, and yeah, don't be discouraged if you get like a one or a two. Like that's exactly where you need to be. Okay. Let me know if you have questions about this. I know it's confusing. Please remember to turn in both parts. And if you are recording separate from your PowerPoint, make sure you turn in both elements. I'm probably also going to post some further information about where to post it because I think depending, I'm going to take a look at, I'm putting week 13 together. There are just so many readings again that I'm trying to find some video and audio like substitutes for the materials for this week for week 13. Once I get that done, I'm going to look at week 14 and 15. I think one of those weeks, actually, I think it's the week 14 we watched the video. So I think week 15 we'll probably be doing less lecture-y stuff and more watching each other's presentations. I think that is an important part. Nope, I'm looking at myself right now recording this and I absolutely hate it. But here's the thing, like nobody cares. As long as you can get your point across, like um, you know, as long as you're not picking your nose, like, and don't have weird stuff in the background. I mean, I just noticed I've got laundry over here, so that's exciting. Whoops, sorry. It's okay. It's okay, Nash. My cat was sleeping. I just freaked her out. Um, but yeah, like don't freak out too much. It's literally everybody's having to do the same formula. Um, it's really just like inserting your information into the data that's already there or like the framework that's already there. Okay? If you have any questions, you need any help, let me know. Y'all know where to find me. All right. You got this. Woo. Let's finish strong, okay? All right, bye.